One trend that's overhyped.
I think the trend that's overhyped right now is the illusion that AI is the medicine for every ailment that exists.
Delighted to be joined by Terry, CRO from Tynes. Welcome.
Tynes is a technology company that is really on a mission to help companies really automate their most mission-critical workflows. The cybersecurity world is too much work, not enough people, too many fragmented tools, and there's a lot of noise around AI, and let's not kid ourselves. It's here, it's real.
Where do you think AI is overhyped right now in security?
I think that there's maybe a hype and a hope by many that it's going to be a magic wand, that it's going to solve all the problems. If I just drop a bunch of agents into my environment, my job is done and I can go home and sleep at night. Agents aren't the answer for everything. It's an important part of an integrated program, but it's not the only element that's needed. What I think organizations should be doing is thinking that what's real and what's not real, and is this going to truly deliver value, and does it bring any other unintended consequence with it to my enterprise? Not losing sight of the importance of the human in that process.
Welcome to the Hubscale Podcast. We're in San Francisco for RSA. Delighted to be joined by Terry, the CRO from Tynes. Welcome.
How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So I'm pretty sure everybody watching this podcast is going to know who Tynes are, but could you just tell us what Tynes is in one or two sentences?
Sure. So Tynes is a technology company that is really on a mission to help companies really automate their most mission-critical workflows. Candidly, whether those workflows are in cybersecurity, which is obviously a topic that we're here in San Fran for, but whether that be in cybersecurity or more broadly in IT or even generally across the rest of their enterprise. So really helping them automate their most important mission-critical workflows is our mission.
Awesome. So you've just got to RSA. What have you got planned this week?
Oh, it's busy.
Yeah?
I mean, you can walk around and see the energy and the buzz. We've got a full schedule. Tynes is busy. Obviously we've got all the activities over at the exhibit hall at Moscone, which is phenomenal and still blows my mind, the activity that goes on over there. But, as much as the excitement is in the exhibit hall, there's so much that goes on outside of that, all the different side events and other activities. So it's a full calendar.
So are there any trends that you're seeing, a couple of days in RSA that security leaders should be paying closer attention to?
Well, I think there's the trends that have probably been around for the last several years, too much work, not enough people, too many fragmented tools, and the cybersecurity world is left to try to figure out how to work through that challenge. But certainly over the last 18 months or so, you can't walk down too many halls and not see AI be present. And so that's certainly at least a trend, if not a lot of noise right now.
Definitely, yeah. We'll come on to AI. Speaking of noise, so security is one of the noisiest categories in tech. How has Tynes managed to break through the noise? You guys are flying.
Yeah, we're doing well, thank you. We're very proud of what we're building and what we're accomplishing. I think, for Tynes, if I even reflect back to, probably 5 years ago when we were really starting to plant the flag out there, I think that one of the things that we were doing differently then and continue to do differently today is try to be different, be authentic, and that's probably what a lot of people will say. I think for us, our leaders, they came from the practitioners' world. They led teams that are helping, trying to solve these problems, and so they knew the pain firsthand. So I think we could act with authenticity, first-party authenticity from day one. But I think we also took a different approach in the sense of it's pretty common for a lot of the messaging in the industry to be about doom and gloom and a lot of bad guys and bad people out there. And while that's true, we really try to take an approach of trying to bring a little bit more positivity to it, a little more light, a little more, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And so you saw that even as something as simple as our branding and our coloring on day one, pink and purple instead of black and red and orange. So I think we try to do things that, not only help us stand apart, but be truly authentic and genuine to our mission.
The brand's fun, that's for sure.
It's definitely fun, and people enjoy it. That's for sure. Inside of Tynes and our community of customers and partners love it too.
What does modern go-to-market mean to you?
Boy, I feel like I'm going to be a dinosaur in some ways quickly here. Modern go-to-market. I think that modern go-to-market to me means, you really have to approach the market through multiple different angles and multiple different channels, if you will. I think you've got to make things as personal and personalized as possible. I don't know that you can just take one message and think it's going to apply to every circumstance, every company, or every individual at those companies.
Sure.
So I think modern go-to-market really means a lot of tailoring and personalization of the narrative and the message. But I think, literally in terms of how you engage and reach people now, there's the old dinosaur part of me which says it's still about relationships and building trust and confidence with individuals. But how you initiate those conversations is probably where a little bit more of the modern stuff starts to show up in terms of the outreach mechanisms and leveraging tools that are AI driven, et cetera, to really, get your voice out there in a much more scalable and efficient way.
Are you applying those modern tools and technologies within Tynes today? Is that a big part of what you guys are doing?
We are, yeah. Certainly from the go-to-market, like probably many organizations, we've got the full tech stack, the go-to-market RevOps tech stack,
Sure.
That we're constantly fine-tuning. But, we're trying to leverage as much of the new technologies mixed with, what we know is a proven effective way. So it's a combination of experimenting with some new stuff and making sure that we're fine-tuning the things that we know that work.
Sure. Speaking of things that is there one go-to-market lesson that you've learned the hard way that sticks out?
Is there one? There's many.
Yeah.
There's
Anything
many.
comes to mind first?
Yeah, I think right now a lesson that has probably been learned maybe a few times, honestly, through my career is you do have to be genuine. You have to be honest with your customers and with your potential customers. I think you need to show up in a way that resonates with them. You really got to make sure you're solving the problems they care about. And so if there's a lesson that I learned, it's maybe losing sight of that every now and then.
Sure.
And bringing maybe what we think the agenda ought to be for them instead of listening to them. So it's probably something just to make sure that myself and others keep in mind is you really do have to listen and hear what the customers and the prospects and the partners are actually telling you, and then make sure you're showing up in a way that resonates and solves the problems they really care about.
Sure, makes sense. Everyone at RSA, we've already touched on it, is talking about AI. How is Tynes actually using AI in a meaningful way? Because you're one of the leaders, I would say, when I think about it.
I think we're using it a few ways. And I would even say, honestly, first that, I mentioned the word noise earlier. There's a lot of noise around AI, and let's not kid ourselves. It's here, it's real.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of, I think, hype. There's a lot of claims, and some of those things, never find their way into a real meaningful production value deployment, right? So there's a lot of science experiments that occur, and they may never leave the science lab, if you will, to get into the real world. So I think part of it is how do you stand out amongst all that hype? For us, how we're using AI, both ourselves and how we're trying to articulate it out to the market is clearly internally we're using it in ways from product development. We're certainly leveraging it to accelerate our own product development and engineering activities and resourcing. Yeah. So there's certainly an element to it from that perspective. We obviously are making sure that we incorporate it appropriately into our platform. A great example of that is with what we've released a few months ago called our Story Copilot, which is pretty cool. We can talk more about that, but that's really helping our customers, in a really exceptionally powerful way.
Tell us how.
Well, part of the challenge in why Tynes has been so successful is a lot of the traditional ways that organizations tried to build these workflows was difficult. It required very specialized skill sets and skill sets that were not readily available, so you couldn't find the people. The amount of effort that it would take to build workflows was very lengthy and laborious, and so the effort required and the time to value was very poor. And so one of the things that we did from day one at Tynes is to tip that on its head and really make that building experience completely different and make it much more approachable and make it much more elegant and frankly joyful for the people using the platform. And so that's really been the hallmark of one of the hallmarks that's made Tynes different.
Yeah.
The addition of Story Copilot is like, rocket fuel on that experience.
Really?
Now it makes it even easier for an individual that may not have deep, technical coding expertise to really basically just tell the system what it needs and what it wants. And our Copilot we'll go and start building the workflow for them automatically. It's pretty cool.
That sounds great. It sounds like a really practical use of AI.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Where do you think AI is overhyped right now in security? Because there's a lot of it around.
Well, I think I would just reflect back on what I mentioned a moment ago, which is I think there is a lot of hype. And I think that there's maybe a hype and a hope by many that it's going to be a magic wand, that it's going to solve all the problems. And certainly there's a ton of promise out there. But I think, one of the things that I'm seeing and hearing from talking with, our customers and organizations that I speak with is they're a little, I don't know, maybe smarter now, 12 months later, 18 months later, 24 months later, to look beyond the hype and actually look under the hood and see, what's real and what's not real. And is this going to truly deliver value? And does it bring any other unintended consequence with it to my enterprise? So
Sure.
I think the hype is there, but I think now organizations are hopefully starting to get smart enough to kind of, sift through the hype a little bit and see what's real.
Do you actually see in buyers' behaviors changing about AI?
Yeah, I think I do. I think they're showing up, with some level of day one knowledge. They're showing up a little bit informed, and sometimes that information they're getting is right, sometimes it's wrong, but they're showing up probably with at least an opinion,
Right.
Versus just a blank sheet of paper that they're just saying, I don't know what AI is telling me about it. They're doing some homework. So I think they're showing up a little bit more informed. But as I mentioned, I think one of the things that we're starting to see more and more and more is, the hidden side of AI, which is showing up in things like security and security reviews. And how does this either create or put us in a position of security risk that we weren't even thinking about? So, some of those real world things beyond the pilot are what are now starting to show up. And I think buyers are starting to hear about that and asking us really thoughtful questions about that.
I think this is interesting. So you're obviously seeing that happen. Is it making you and the team tweak your go-to-market motion or your approach?
To be honest, I think it's reinforcing the opinion that we've had, right? So again, if I think about Tynes, born in security, founded by security, practitioners and knowing in the pain that organizations are dealing with, I think that foundation for us of security first has been central to everything that we do from our go-to-market strategy. It's centered to things that we do from a product perspective.
Sure.
And so when those questions now start being presented to us around, hey, how do you enable AI, or what's your approach to AI? We are in a wonderful position because of where we've come from. And so we actually view that as a strength of ours in our deployment of AI, both within our product and how we deploy it within our customers' environment.
Makes sense. Do you think we're edging towards, say, buy AI or fall behind moment?
It's definitely a pivotal moment for sure. Again, I think I'd probably sound very either naive or foolish if I didn't think there is a significant moment here in the industry and overall. I don't know that I would say it's a buy AI now moment, and if you don't, you're forever left behind, because it's changing so fast.
Sure.
It's changing so fast. And so I think it's hard to push all the chips in on something that you think is the AI solution to everything, because that may or may not, be the answer that you need tomorrow, or something might change. So I definitely think it's a moment, but I don't think it's like if you don't do something today on Tuesday, tomorrow on Wednesday, you've missed the bus.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about security teams using AI. What should security teams not be using AI for right now?
The way I see it and what I hear from our customers is a couple things. Again, I mentioned earlier, AI isn't the answer. Agents aren't the answer for everything. And so what I think organizations should be doing is thinking that if I just drop a bunch of agents into my environment, my job is done, and I can go home and sleep at night. What we're actually seeing and hearing, and it is being validated from many organizations, frankly, across all industries, is what they're really looking for in terms of trying to solve these problems, and as it relates to workflow automation, is what we would describe as an intelligent workflow, which is a combination of agent-led or agentic workflow automation, more rules-based or deterministic workflow automation, and then not losing sight of the importance of the human in that process. And so human in the loop, as it's often referred to. So we describe intelligent workflows is our ability to bring any one of those flavors of automation, whether it be agentic, deterministic, or human in the loop, and be able to do that from a singular platform. And so what I would encourage people to not think is that it's only agentic, that it's really ultimately a combination of all of them that's needed to solve the problem.
Sure. So a balance is needed.
You got it.
Moving on to some news about Tynes. I think a lot of people watching will have seen it announced this month that there's going to be 100 US-based hires coming.
Yeah.
Why now?
The market is ready. The market, and first of all, thanks for acknowledging it. We're excited about that. It's a big announcement for our US growth, but we're continuing to hire elsewhere around the world as well. Europe, Australia, New Zealand, et cetera. So, but the announcement certainly highlighted a lot of the growth here in the US. Look, the reality is we are doing exceptionally well. The product and the platform and Tynes as an organization is exceptionally well received out there. So we know we've got an opportunity to continue to double down on that. We've got the capital resources to do it. The market is receptive. All the signals are there. We're seeing the great customer growth that we're looking for. And so let's go. Let's press down the gas pedal a little bit.
What are the signals that you would look for? Because I'm sure there's lots of businesses out there that have raised a lot of money and they're trying to work out when to pull the trigger and really go and hire.
Yeah.
What are the signals that tell you now's the right time? From a go-to-market point of view, I guess.
Boy, wouldn't it be great if there was just one obvious big signal, a big green traffic light says go.
It'd be easy if there was.
Exactly. I think it's probably a few things. I mean, early days, you're probably more in like pushing mode, meaning pushing your message, trying to get out there and establish your name and get your customer base going and get the partner community going, et cetera. And I think at some point you start to see that turn into a little bit more of a pull, What could be some very simple examples? Maybe here at RSA, people now over the last couple of years start to show up at our exhibit booth on the exhibit floor, already informed about Tynes.
Yeah.
They show up saying, hey, I was told to go and talk to you about this thing. So they're coming to us and they're already aware of it. So that might be an example. We start to see partners out in the partner ecosystem, ringing our doorbell and knocking on our door. Hey, I'm hearing from my customers as a partner, as a systems integrator or a channel partner, what have you. My customers are talking about Tynes. I need to understand it. So, different signals that you can see. I mean, obviously we instrument everything from traffic on the website to click-throughs on ads to community edition signups. All those are great signals as well.
Where does this 100-person hiring wave take you? Like, what's the goal for the next 18 months?
Without revenue specifics, we've got ambitious goals. We've been, as you kindly pointed out, we've been doing exceptionally well, and we're not lowering our dreams and our ambitions. So, we're looking to continue to grow at a rate that is industry leading, and that requires human capital and smart, talented people. So I think for us, it enables us to continue to penetrate the market. It enables us to continue to penetrate it in multiple sectors of the market, Fortune 100, public sector, different industry penetration. So it allows us to do that in a very intentional way. And that those people aren't just only go to market. That's folks in other customer success and engineering and product and marketing as well to really continue to help fuel it. But look, we want to continue to grow at the rate we're growing, and that requires smart, talented people.
Is AI impacting the way that you're hiring in go-to-market?
I think we are definitely, yes, is the short answer. And I think if nothing else, I need people now to come in with some level of acumen. They need to understand it going on. I need them to just be, if nothing else, at a fundamental, conversationally aware to be able to talk about AI. We'll teach them what does it mean at Tynes. We'll teach them how does it show up in our product. We'll teach them how does it help our customers. But I need people that aren't necessarily coming out from underneath a rock and they're aware of what AI is. So it's definitely become part of our vetting and our due diligence process as we're looking at potential people to come join the company.
So is that AI in terms of knowledge of AI security, or is that AI knowledge in terms of like day-to-day practical uses of AI into what they're doing?
Right now, it's probably either or maybe a bit of both. I mean, some of it is general knowledge. Some of it is, are they using it? Maybe they've tried it and they're doing their own examples of it, or how are they using it in their current situation if they're currently employed somewhere? What experience have they had with it? Are they using it personally? In some cases, they might know how it's showing up in the cybersecurity world, but that's, probably icing on the cake right now.
Sure. That was really interesting. We'll move on to some sort of quick fire questions to finish up. So one trend that's overhyped.
I think one trend that's overhyped, I feel like I'm going to beat this drum, but I think the trend that's overhyped right now is the illusion that, AI and or agents is the
only answer.
The only answer. It's the medicine for every ailment that exists. And it's an important part of an integrated, healthcare wellness program, but it's not the only element that's needed. I think that's where a little bit of the overhype is right now.
One trend that's underhyped.
I think the trend that's underhyped is maybe two. Again, I think there's a little bit of the unintended or unexpected consequence of AI right now. Yeah. Again, whether that's on the security side and maybe creating or opening up security vulnerabilities that weren't intended. So I think there's a little bit of the unknown consequence that organizations have to be prepared for. But I think the other one too is, if I date myself a little bit, there was a term back in the day called shadow IT. And I think we're going to experience something similar, which I would call, AI shadow IT. And I think organizations need to be ready to see AI showing up in their environments, whether they know it's coming in the door or not coming in the door. And they have to be ready for that. And how are they going to either manage it? How are they going to block it? How are they going to make sure it's secure? So kind of the shadow IT version of AI is, I think, something that maybe is underappreciated right now.
Interesting. What are you most excited about for RSA conference this week?
I mean, these are great events. They truly are. I mean, there's so much energy and excitement. It's hard to walk, in the exhibit hall and not just, probably drop your jaw at the magnanimity of it all. But I'd say, for me, what I get excited about, honestly, is like the power of you and I sitting here talking, like the power of people meeting each other in person, the power of that one-on-one interaction or small group interaction. I mean, we do as much activity off the exhibit floor as we do on. I mean, we've got an executive briefing center, which is phenomenal. Invite you to swing by. We have nearly 200 meetings scheduled at our executive briefing center that will never even show up on the exhibit floor. They're all at our offsite. And it's events like that and other side events. So it's that personal relationship, that trust building and the rapport that gets built. I think that's the power of an event like RSA.
Favorite RSA memory that you can tell us about?
Yeah, many late nights, early mornings. I think one that's pretty cool, honestly, last year, Tynes did an event, an early morning event that was a charitable fun run. And so we had a great group of our own Tynos, our employees, but we had customers and prospects and partners all show up at 6:30 in the morning to do a charity run. And really seeing people there in like a true community sense. And it wasn't talking about product and it wasn't, handing out brochures or free pens at the trade show booth. It was people that were there to do something different, something that was giving back. We support a couple of really important charities. To me, that's super cool. And that is probably my most fondest favorite memory right now.
Awesome. What do you think the direction of travel is for events like RSA and Black Hat, stuff like that?
During COVID, you would have thought they'd never show up again. But here we are, and they're, probably as big and as, powerful as ever. Hard to predict the future. I think that it's still about human interaction. I really do. I think it's about having conversations, getting to know, individuals, on the other side of that discussion. It's about strengthening relationships with customers. So I think if it's a mechanism, I mean, look, it's harder, I think, to get to customers' offices. People are working from home. They may or may not show up to the office the way they once did. But events like this are still that opportunity for everyone to kind of gather in a central spot, in a singular spot, and then do the face-to-face relationship building. So I think as long as we're still humans and we have emotions and we want to be heard and listened to and appreciated, events like this have a long life ahead of them.
Sure. What is one thing that you would change about the security industry?
Stop staying out after midnight. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's obviously the industry as a whole is mission critical to organizations big and small, commercial entities, public entities, government, whatever. So as a large domain, it's mission critical, and part of that is making sure that we're thinking about the bad actors and trying to keep them away and solve problems as quickly as they show up. But I don't know. I feel like, again, that never-ending doom and gloom, and it's only going to be bad things that occur. I do really appreciate the Tynes approach of let's spin that tail on the other side, and let's talk about the goodness that can happen. Let's talk about the positive things that we can help try to solve, and not just make it about keeping people out of orange jumpsuits and So that'd be one thing, is maybe try to change the tone of it to a little bit more of offensive and positive than defensive and negative.
Sure. Speaking of positive, what are you most excited about for Tynes over the next 12 months?
I'm excited about the success and the momentum we've got. Again, we finished our fiscal financial year back at the end of January, a phenomenal year, record year. As I mentioned a moment ago, we're not slowing down, so we've got some lofty goals and ambitions for this year and beyond. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I think we're really going to continue a great path forward. I'm also excited about the things that are occurring within Tynes. Without stealing some future thunder, we're going to be announcing some things here in the coming months that I think are going to be pretty cool too. That are going to be very innovative and pretty impactful in the market. So I'm excited about how that's going to resonate also.
Well, watch this space.
There you go.
Right, well, that's a perfect way to wrap up. So Terry, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.